Hey there, friend. Heather Creekmore here. I'm so glad you're watching the Compared to You podcast today. Today, we're going to talk about joy. And my question for you is, how are you doing on that front? Is joy something that overflows in your life, or is joy maybe a struggle? If your answer is the latter, you are in the right place. But before we get started, I want to tell you about something special that we did just for you. We have a free mini course. It's called Obsessed to Blessed. And if you struggle with body image and comparison issues, maybe food and body issues, maybe you have an eating disorder background, or maybe you've just been on a diet your entire life, this Obsessed to Blessed mini course will bless you, and it will set you on a path to find new freedom and find joy in ways that you maybe never even thought possible around food and body. So you can go to the show notes or just go to improvebodyimage.com/obsessed-to-blessed. Now, so how do we grow in joy? That's the $1,000,000 question that we're tackling today. And where I want to start is by sharing with you my story. Now, it's been a few years since I've shared my story on the podcast in this way. And so maybe if you're newer to the show, you've never heard it before, but I want to share it today in the context of the struggle that I had as a Christian woman, even someone who knew all the God and Jesus answers, in finding joy. You see, I knew scripture, but man, it was hard to feel joy in my life. And so I'm going to share with you my story, hoping to point out those things. Today we'll tackle 3 things specifically that I think block us from feeling the true kind of joy that Jesus intended we should have as a part of our Christian life. And then we're going to finish today by talking about 3 ways that you can grow in joy. Now, I've been immersed in this content because I'm preparing for a awesome women's conference that we're having at my church, Lakeview Bible Church in Austin. But I thought this might be a great topic for you wherever you're at today if you feel like you need encouragement around growing in joy. So every time I share my story, it just kind of feels odd for me because I feel like it's the most vanilla, perhaps most boring testimony out there. Like I used to feel maybe even jealous of people who had these traumatic transformation story kind of testimonies where they had been rescued from things that were really big. And my story, it's not really like that. I was a white girl raised in the suburbs who went to church 3 times a week. I started going to Christian school in 7th grade. I went to Christian college. I went to Christian graduate school. And honestly, I was a good girl. I mean, I remember like lying a few times and twisting the truth, maybe colorfully omitting some facts, those sorts of things. But as far as the Christian life goes, I kind of felt like I was doing pretty well. I hadn't really done anything that bad. Now, was I joyful? I mean, I was happy sometimes, of course. There were great moments of happiness, but happiness a lot of times had to do with my achievements or accomplishments. And I learned pretty quickly that the buzz of happiness after achievement fades really fast. And I just had this one kind of all-consuming struggle. It was a struggle that was in my head 24 hours a day. Okay, maybe not 24 hours a day. I may have gotten a little bit of reprieve while sleeping, but I think it haunted my dreams too. And that struggle was my body. You see, starting around the 3rd grade, I remember looking into a full-length mirror. I was wearing these pink pleather, like fake leather pants. And I remember looking in the mirror thinking, my legs are too big. And so I went to school that day and I compared the size of my legs to the size of the legs of the other little girls in the class. And I decided it was true. That lie took root. And that lie drove me and guided me for the next almost 30 years of my life. By middle school, I was dieting with mom, whatever diet she was on, I was trying it too. By high school, I was trying a new kind of diet, which was see how long you go without eating. And as an overachiever, I was actually pretty good at that. I could make it all day long. And then I would get home after school activities, ravenous, and eat all the things and eat dinner, but then feel this overwhelming sense of guilt because I had eaten. I had done what I swore to myself I wasn't going to do. And every day it was kind of this vicious cycle of trying not to eat and feeling guilty when I did. And I didn't know that this was disordered eating. I didn't know this was potentially an eating disorder. I didn't have any answers like that. I thought I was actually trying to do something good because it seemed like every woman around me wanted to get thinner. And if not eating was the way you shrunk your body, then obviously that was a good thing. By college, my sophomore year of college, I lost my period for 9 months. And when I talked to professionals about it, they said it's probably just stress. You see, there wasn't an eating disorder category for people like me. I wasn't underweight, extremely thin, anorexic, and I couldn't purge, so I didn't fall into the bulimic category. I did try, and I felt some shame around not being able to do that because that actually seemed like a reasonable option for me. And I see and understand how twisted that is right now. But it felt to me like joy was something that was going to unlock as soon as I got my body the way I wanted it to be. Like I had the God and Jesus answer, but I knew Jesus was where the joy was. I knew that. Like I knew the joy of the Lord is my strength. I could tell you all the verses, but what I really believed, because what we believe is more than just what we think, right? What I believed, what I acted on was that my joy required Jesus plus something else. And for me, that plus something else was a certain body size, a certain look. As soon as I could get that, as soon as the parts were shaped that way, as soon as the scale read a certain way, as soon as the mirror showed me the love I wanted it to show me, as soon as my hair was good, my skin was clear, like all of those things are obsessions of mine. And I really believed that as soon as those things all fell into line, that I would find joy. Now, I told you about my restrictive eating tendencies through high school and college, but what I didn't tell you is when I got out of college, I moved to Washington, D.C. I worked on Capitol Hill, and I discovered exercise in my time off. I joined a gym there, and I had dabbled in exercise before, but this was my first time as a single adult woman to really enter gym culture. And what I decided was those people in the gym that had the little headset mics or that had instructor plastered over their back, that those people must not struggle in the same way I struggled with body image issues. I decided that that was the path to freedom. And so I made a vow to myself that I would become a certified fitness instructor because I knew then I would be able to prove that my body was good enough, and then I would unlock the joy. But what happened, I did become a certified instructor. And I did start teaching fitness classes after work and sometimes even before work in these full-time jobs I had. And what I realized quickly was that it didn't work. I would teach a class and I would look around that class and I would be able to point out like, well, she's got better legs than I do. She's in better shape than I am. She's got a better body than I am. And it didn't fix anything. In fact, it just kind of gave me more women to compare myself to. And so after that, I realized, well, perhaps the problem wasn't actually that I hadn't proven myself physically. Perhaps the problem was that I was single and I'd always wanted to be married. And so I thought, well, as soon as I find a guy, all of these issues will go away. And that's where my joy will be found. And so a few weeks after my 30th birthday, I ended up meeting my husband. He was a Marine fighter pilot. We actually got matched on a dating site. And I knew that this was it. I was confident. Like I was marrying the man of my dreams. All of my issues were going to melt away. We kind of had the relationship where after the first date, we were just kind of together. We got married about 15 months later. But I remember distinctly waking up in a Washington, D.C. hotel room, tiny downtown hotel room. And I remember being able to see this giant old mirror from the bed. And I sat up in bed and I remember looking at myself in that mirror thinking, nothing has changed. I don't feel any different. It didn't work. Marriage didn't fix it for me, at least not in one night. I still felt like me. I still had all the same issues, all the same struggles. And honestly, I spent most of our honeymoon blaming my husband for that. I thought, well, he must not be saying the right things or doing the right things, or he must not have read the husband's manual to know how to help your wife out of all of these issues. Like, I totally blamed him. And so 4 months into marriage, things changed again. I actually got pregnant with our first son. And honestly, this gave me great hope that my joy would come and my issues would resolve. I would stop stressing about my body image. Like, I really thought this was going to solve everything. I'd always wanted to be a mom. And I thought, if I have like this other important thing to do, like keeping a kid alive, then of course my body image issues are going to weigh. I'm not going to have enough time to think about my calories and macros and exercise and all of the things I want to change about my body when I'm trying to keep a little person alive. And yet, it didn't quite work out that way. In fact, being pregnant, especially with my first, kind of felt like, I don't know, going to Weight Watchers meetings every time I had to weigh in at the doctor's office. And although it was the first time in my life I wasn't on a diet, and that felt really good and freeing, I was paranoid about what would happen after I had the baby and how fast I could, quote unquote, bounce back. Now, the thing that made it a little trickier for me was I was pregnant 6 months after our first was born with our second. And then that pattern kind of continued. In fact, we had 4 babies in just over 4 years, no twins there. So I was pregnant and breastfeeding for about the first 5 years of our marriage. But underneath it all, I think, was this really deeply rooted disappointment that none of these things I had thought all of my life were going to bring me joy actually had worked. Like, I had so much hope that getting my body just right was going to bring me joy, that getting married to an amazing man was going to bring me joy, that having babies, being a mom was going to bring me joy. And I had all these wonderful blessings, these good gifts from a good God. And yet I didn't feel any joy. In fact, I was kind of angry at God that none of those things had brought me joy. Like, what was I missing? There was something wrong. And I thought maybe it was God's fault. And I would listen to the sermons like I knew Jesus was where the joy is. You know, I knew I needed to find joy in the Lord and just, be closer to him in order to find the joy. And I was like, well, I do know the Lord. Like, I do read the Bible sometimes. I pray. I go to church. I'm even involved in church. Like, where is my joy? Why don't I have it? And so that's where I'm going for the remainder of the time today. You see, as I work with women, as I write books, as I do podcasts like this one, I get the opportunity also to coach women. And most of the coaching I do is around body image issues. Sometimes I help women with comparison or women who are really struggling in marriage. But underneath it all, like, I would say the one commonality is I'm working with women who are just lacking joy. They know that God and Jesus answer, but they don't feel joy in their lives. And so what I've recognized in my almost decade of coaching is that there's 3 common themes, 3 common lies, perhaps is a better way to say it, that block us from feeling joy. So first I want to define some terms, okay? Happiness and joy are 2 different things. And I'm going to throw up on the screen here a chart. You see, there's nothing wrong with happiness. Happiness is fantastic, but there's a difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is sourced by our circumstances, our outcomes, our experiences. Happiness is, I did this thing, I experienced this thing, and that made me really happy. Joy is much deeper. The source of joy is always and only Jesus and our salvation in him. Happiness is more of an emotional response, whereas joy goes way beyond our feelings. It's a deeper posture. It's a more settled place of knowing whose you are, who you belong to. And so that makes it different from just feeling happiness. Happiness is temporary and changeable, whereas joy is enduring and resilient. Happiness answers the question, is life going well right now? And if life's going well, then I'm happy. But if it's not going well, then maybe I'm not so happy. But joy answers the question, is my life grounded and rooted in something or someone secure. If we're looking for happiness, we're vulnerable to stress, loss, and disappointment because those things can make our happiness disappear in a flash. But joy is different because joy is able to coexist with grief, with hardship, and with uncertainty. You see, joy doesn't deny pain. Joy outlasts our pain. So why couldn't I find joy? I think I couldn't find joy because I spelled joy wrong. Okay, I don't mean literally. I know it's spelled J-O-Y. But I thought joy, J-O-Y, stood for just over yonder. You see, I thought joy was something that I needed to strive for, work for, try to find, achieve. And what I've learned now is that misspelling joy is what creates that block we all sometimes feel around our joy. And there's three main ways that I think we search for joy just over yonder. And those three ways are that we believe joy comes when you get it all right, that when you just figure out all the things, you can unlock this combination lock of joy in your life. Or maybe we believe that joy comes when we get there. It's an arrival-based joy. And then the third lie is that joy comes when you just get positive, just change your mental outlook, positive thinking. But for none of these three ways to misspell joy will really lead us to the joy that we all long for. This is not where joy comes from. Joy comes from Jesus alone. And a lot of us believe, again, this Jesus plus gospel, that joy will come when I have Jesus, check, and this other thing that I've longed for, and when I've arrived at this place. Those three lies that kind of fill in the blank in that Jesus plus equation. The first one is just over yonder joy believes that joy comes when you get it all right. And I'm going to call this get it right joy. Get it right joy looks for lists for success. Like if I just do parenting right, if I just do marriage right, if I just do this, and this, then I will unlock joy. It's like joy is in this locked combination box. And if I do like 3 clicks to the right of this and 7 clicks to the left of this and 14 clicks to the right of this, then boom, joy will be unlocked for me. We can even treat our Christian life in this way, right? Like we can believe that I need to be a good Christian through 3 clicks to the right and 7 clicks. Like if I just do all the Christian things correctly, then I will feel joy. But in that, even in doing these things, sometimes they're really good things we do, we miss the giver of joy. We miss Jesus. And so believing that you can unlock the formula for joy when you get it right, like what does this lead us to? Oh, friend, like it leads to legalism. It leads to perfectionism. It leads to this do better, be the best kind of drive. Or it leads to us shoulding all over ourselves all the time. You should do this. You should do this. You should be like this. We start striving to do all the things. And friend, you might know as well as I do, especially in the realm of body image issues, or maybe even you're calling it health right now. Doing all the things or trying to do all the things or just trying to keep up with doing all the things isn't enough to make you crazy. In fact, when I give it this talk live this weekend at the women's conference, I'm going to share a hilarious video from Instagram.
Hey ladies, did you do your best to eat kale and cut out alcohol during the decade of January and notice absolutely zero difference? Oh, that's because it just doesn't work that way anymore, okay? You can't just eat healthier and expect to lose weight these days. Get with the times, idiot. It is not calories in, calories out anymore, okay? We have a new system for you now. By the way, you're still going to need to remain in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight, okay? Pay attention. It's very straightforward. Also, your husband is still going to crush it using the old system, so this doesn't apply to him, only to you, okay? So just don't share this with him. Listen up, you're gonna need supplements. Which supplements, you ask? Every single one of them. Creatine, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin B, folate, lion's mane, evening primrose, collagen, peptides, chicken soup, motor oil, hormones. Which hormones, you ask? Nobody knows, okay? We can't measure it. Your hormones are on spring break for the next few years going buck wild. It's a very easy formula, okay? You just take all of these supplements in the right combinations and amounts to maximize your results. It's either that or perfect lighting. We haven't quite narrowed it down yet. You're also going to need to load up on protein. Ask someone on the internet how much protein in a day would kill you and then subtract 10 grams. That's going to be your number right there. This is going to seem like a lot, but if you don't eat it, whatever microscopic amount of muscle you have left on your body is going to disappear and you're going to break your hip. It's science. Also get to the gym, okay? Find the person with the most amount of muscles there and start a competition with them. Muscle burns fat and you don't have any muscles. Set your steps. You have plenty of time to do all this between your kids, your job, your dog, your husband, okay? There are probably like 5 to 7 women out there doing this that we know of every day. Take the reins. Women can do it all. If you say you can't, it just proves how lazy you are. Last thing, you need to get 9 hours of sleep every night or none of this is going to work. Lower your stress. Your cortisol levels are going to kill you.
If we believe there's a list of all the things we can do, right, to unlock joy, what happens is we get on a treadmill. Like we put ourselves on a treadmill and we're running and we're running. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to do the things. I'm going to do them right. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them. And the treadmill starts speeding up. Beep, 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 beep. Going faster, going faster. I'm going to get my health together. I'm going to get my body together. I'm going to get my marriage together. I'm going to get my house together. I'm going to get my life together. Beep, 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 beep. And we're running, we're running, we're running, we're running, we're running. And we are running so hard because we are going to get joy as soon as we get it all right. But friend, you're on a treadmill. What happens when we run on a treadmill? We don't actually get to a destination, do we? Like you can keep beep, 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 turning up the speed, beep, 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 turning up the elevation. You got some incline going, you're running, you're running, you're running, you're running. And instead of finding joy, you find burnout, you find stress, you find exhaustion. And you thought that joy would come. You thought doing all the things right would unlock it. But it's never enough. It's never enough. In fact, I think that this kind of joy, I think that pursuing joy in this way has its own theme song. And that theme song is from one of my favorite movies of all time, The Greatest Showman. And it goes like this: never enough, never, never, never enough, never, never. I'm not going to sing it for you, but hopefully you're familiar with this song. That's what chasing Get It Right joy sings to us. It's never enough. It's never enough. Keep going. It's never enough. Joy doesn't come from getting it all right. So let me ask you right now, are you on that treadmill? What are you chasing? Are you chasing Jesus? Are you chasing perfection or something better in your life, bettering something? If you're chasing Jesus, you'll never be exhausted. Okay, not supposed to stress you out, right? It's not a checklist. It's a relationship. Chasing Jesus takes us off the treadmill to nowhere. In fact, it's more like being on one of those walking paths at the airport where you hop on and you just kind of, we're walking still beside everyone, but you've got a narrow focused lane and it's going to take you somewhere. Are you looking for joy to come from personal fulfillment, from accomplishments? Friend, this is not where joy comes from. Accomplishments can mark what we've done. They can mark who we are. They can make us happy for a bit. But joy blossoms when we rest in belonging to Jesus and what he has done for us. I hope you'll sit with that for a second. Our second lie for just over yonder joy is that joy comes when you arrive. I call this get there joy. Joy becomes a destination. If I can just get there, oh boy, then I'll feel it. For some of you, it's if I can just lose X number of pounds, if I can just get my body right. I mean, you heard that in my story. If I can just get to the next stage of life, if I can just get married, if I can just have kids, if I can just get these babies walking out of diapers, out of the car seats, to school all day, if I can just get these kids driving themselves to their own activities, if I can just get these kids to college, if I can just get them married off, if I can just get them in jobs and off the payroll, there's always another thing. It's a destination-based joy. As soon as I get to this thing, then I will find joy. But life doesn't work like that, right? Because there's always another destination. The only heaven we were created to experience will come in the next life, not in this one. So in this life, it's not really a series of destinations that are heaven-like. Instead, it's kind of more like we've got rest stops. Like here in Texas, we have Buc-ee's. You've probably heard of Buc-ee's, even if you don't live in Texas. Buc-ee's is an amazing place. I mean, you can get just about anything there. There's 1,000 gas pumps and 1,000,000 different drink combinations and snacks you can pick up, right? So it's a great little stop. But you got to keep going. You don't live at Buc-ee's. You stop at Buc-ee's and then you get back on the road to travel to your destination. And that's kind of like what happens when we believe that arriving somewhere will unlock our joy. It's like believing that arriving at Buc-ee's is going to unlock your joy and you're going to be able to stay there. No, sorry, friend. You get a minute, but then you got to get back on the road. Believing that joy comes when we arrive really is another illustration of the Jesus plus gospel. It's I need Jesus plus I need my life to go this way. I need this kind of life. I need Jesus plus this promotion in my job, this title. I need Jesus plus this next season to start. I need Jesus plus retirement. I need Jesus plus this next vacation. Or maybe it's as simple as you say every day, I need Jesus plus this day to be over so I can get to 9 o'clock so I can just sit on the couch with my ice cream. And maybe this is your destination. Maybe every day you feel like that's when my joy will come, when I get to that couch at 9 p.m. when it's my time. Friend, that's not how we were designed to live. That's not the kind of joy that God created us for. And so when we live with the lie that joy comes when you arrive, there's another theme song for this one. Okay, this theme song is super famous from The Wizard of Oz. But believing that joy comes when we arrive sounds a little something like somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. We believe the bluebirds are singing and everything is wonderful. It's just over there. It's somewhere over the rainbow. And here's what I want to tell you. And this applies both to the lie that joy comes when you arrive and also to the lie that joy comes when you get it all right. Both of these things are something called idolatry. And idolatry is a part of my own story. Like, I didn't think I had a problem with idolatry, right? Like, we didn't have any idols or statues in our house. I didn't even look at the Buddha statue when I went in the Chinese restaurant. And yet, like, I thought idolatry, check, I don't have that problem. But I had made an idol out of marriage. I had made an idol out of motherhood. I had made an idol out of my body and trying to get my body in a certain way, a certain size, a certain look that I believed would be a kind of salvation for me here on earth. Like, yeah, okay, I had the God and Jesus answer for later. I knew that my salvation for eternity was secure, but I was believing the lie of the idol that the salvation I really needed for now was a different look, or a man to put a ring on my finger, or children. And that was my Jesus plus gospel. Here on earth, I thought I needed Jesus plus a better body, Jesus plus a husband or a better husband, Jesus plus motherhood and babies, and then eventually babies that were potty trained and academically successful or athletically successful. I mean, it just went on and on and on. It never ends because that's how idols work, right? And idols put up this block between us and God. Whenever we believe anything on earth could be responsible for bringing us joy, again, I'm not saying happiness, I'm saying joy. Whenever we believe there's something on earth that we can create or chase or find or attain that will bring us joy that only comes from Jesus, we've created an idol. We are looking for something or to something that is not Jesus to save us. And that's going to be a roadblock in our relationship with him every single time. It's grace. It's really grace that God doesn't allow those idols to satisfy us. God's not going to allow that idol to bring me joy. And that's what he showed me. In my mid-30s, my husband was listening to a sermon by Pastor Tim Keller, and it was kind of blaring through the house. And Keller was talking about modern day idolatry. And at that moment, I heard the Lord whisper to me, Heather, this is your problem. You've made your body an idol. And friend, that changed everything in my relationship with him. Everything. I mean, I'd read my Bible before. I was praying before. I was involved in church. But I was just kind of going through the motions. I was checking the boxes. I was trying to be a good Christian girl, get it all right. But there was something interrupting my relationship, and it was my idols. I didn't really have faith in Jesus. I had faith that hopefully someday the vending machine God would give me what I wanted, and that's where I would find my joy. It wasn't real faith. It wasn't real trust and belief in Jesus. I mean, I said all those things, like I knew all those things, but what I was really looking for to bring me joy was not Jesus. It was weight loss. It was body change. It was a certain feeling that I was supposed to get from having a husband or being with my husband. It was a certain feeling I was supposed to get from being a mom. And that's why idols are so dangerous. Idols block our joy. And so right now, as you're listening or watching this, I'm just going to ask you to pause just for a moment. In what ways have you tried to chase joy through a rival? In what ways have you tried to chase joy through getting it all right? Can you name any right now, friend? Like these could be idols in your life, and they might be what's blocking your joy right now. And the great news is there's a cure for this, though. Like if this were just normal girl stuff, if these are just problems that everyone has, like then there's no cure for it. Then you're just stuck. My friend, idolatry is sin. And so if we can name idols in our lives as sin struggles in our lives, there's a cure for that. 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. He is the cure. And so as we think through, how have I tried to chase joy through a rival? How have I tried to chase joy through getting it all right? What have I believed would save me here on this earth? Whatever those answers are, those things are your idols, and you have the opportunity today to confess them. And then that'll be a turning point. Our repentance, confession, forgiveness we receive from Jesus is a turning point that allows us to truly reconnect with him and experience his joy. You see, going back to the idol of arrival, like joy is not a place you arrive. I mean, we will arrive there someday in the next life, but joy for now isn't arrival. It's the way we walk with Jesus. It's our closeness to him. Okay, our third and final lie is that joy comes when you get positive. And I like to call this Jedi mind trick joy. And this one is tricky because like there's nothing wrong with being an optimist. There's nothing wrong with believing the best or thinking the best. I mean, some of those things are even biblical concepts. But there's a big difference between positive thinking and faith-saturated trust. And I think sometimes, especially in our culture, where, man, the New Age movement is exploding, you have to be very careful what mantras you are copying, pasting, and sharing, because they just might not be biblical. They might be straight up New Age. But some of that stuff sounds kind of right. It sounds kind of close to scripture, and it's just not. Positive thinking is different than faith-saturated trust because positive thinking confuses the hope we have in Jesus with optimism, with thinking good thoughts. Those are two different things. Thinking good thoughts is not the same as putting your hope in Jesus and that his word is true and that his plan is good and that he's coming back someday and that he's going to win the victory in the end. That's different than positive thinking. And see, positive thinking is really more about like confidence in myself and my ability to control my brain and control my thoughts versus confidence in God, versus believing that he is the one true source of joy. Positive thinking, if that's going to work for me, like I'm reliant on myself to train my brain to think good thoughts, think good thoughts. It's not confidence in God's sovereignty. And positive thinking actually minimizes the reality of suffering. And, you know, Jesus said it. He said, in this world, we will have trouble. There's suffering that we may all have to endure. To some degree, we will all have to endure. Unfortunately, that's just part of living in this broken, fallen world. And if we take the attitude of like, nope, everything's great, la, 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 everything's great, all through my trials, nope, everything's great. I'm just going to refuse to see that. I'm going to refuse to ignore that. Man, to deny the pain, to deny the hard, to deny the hurt, like Jesus doesn't ask us to deny those things. Instead, he asks us to bring them to him. He promises to never leave us or forsake us. He wants to be the Holy Spirit, wants to be our comforter. He wants to walk with us through our suffering. He doesn't ask us to deny or minimize it. Positive thinking puts a burden on the believer to sustain their own joy by keeping a certain mindset. And friend, that's just never been our responsibility. We've never had the ability to sustain our own joy because joy is only found in Jesus. He is the only one who can sustain it. And so final thought here is the Bible teaches us that joy is a fruit of the Spirit. Joy's not a technique. Joy's not a Jedi mind trick. It's a fruit that will bloom and blossom and develop only when we're rooted and grounded in him. So joy comes when you get positive. That's a lie that I think has a theme song too. It's a very old song. It goes something like this. You got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Perhaps you've heard that song, right? But the song is really just about like thinking positive. Just think about the good things and the negative things will fade away. Right? And as we've already discussed, friend, I just don't think that is the right path for us to find joy as believers. True joy doesn't have to deny pain. It outlasts our pain. So while positive thinking says, change your thoughts and you'll feel better, true joy says you are held even when your thoughts fall apart. I think the biggest struggle we have in chasing joy, chasing just over yonder joy, is that we tend to confuse the good gifts of God with God, the good giver. In fact, that's what all, if not like most of our idols are. Our idols are these good gifts from God that we've just put in the wrong place. Our marriages are good. If you're a mom, that's great. If you want to pursue a healthy body, fantastic. There's nothing wrong with those things. But the problem is when we take these good things, these good gifts from him, like our bodies, good gifts to be stewarded, and we put them in a place that we believe they will bring us joy. And it's joy that only comes from Jesus. That's when we've created that idol. Now here's a story that hopefully will help drive this point home. You see, there once was a woman who really wanted to be engaged. Like she just could not wait to be engaged. And so finally that day came. Her boyfriend had bought her this spectacular ring. He proposed. She was so excited. She quickly said yes, slid that ring on her finger. And she just was enamored. Not with him, but with the ring. Man, she couldn't stop staring at it. She couldn't stop polishing it. She took it to the jewelry store to have the settings checked and get it polished every week. She spent all of her free time sitting around staring at the ring. She took lots of pictures of the ring, selfies with the ring, posting them on social media. She loved the ring so, so much. And her fiance would call and text and like, hey, like, when can we get together? I can't wait to see you again. We need to start planning the wedding. I love you so much. Like, when can we be together again? And she was like, man, like, I don't have time. I'm really busy trying to take care of my ring. Like, I got more pictures to take of it, maybe some video. I think I'm going to actually get a photo shoot with the ring. And I mean, of course, this is a little bit of a ridiculous story. But is that what we do with God when he gives us good gifts? Do we obsess over our good gifts? Do we focus on our good gifts? Do we put all of our hopes and dreams and energies into our good gifts instead of into the giver? I've done it. Have you done it too? Like, the truth is, joy is never far away. It's as close as the giver is to us. It's just that true joy cannot be spelled just over yonder. True joy cannot be found in the gifts. True joy is found in our closeness to Jesus. What blocks our joy is anything that we've chased, pursued, trusted that isn't him. And so how do we find true joy? Well, I've got 3 A's for you as we close today. We find true joy through aligning, abiding, and anchoring. True joy comes when you align, abide, and anchor to Jesus, the source of our joy. And if we want to be unblocked from that joy, from that feeling that we're lacking joy, if we want that lockbox we talked about, like if we want that to unlock and joy to come out, we want to feel like we've arrived at joy, friend, then this is what we have to do. We have to align, we have to abide, and we have to anchor. So let's start with align. We have to align with the giver. Joy comes when we rightly order our lives. We stop placing the good gifts above the giver. And so my question for you today is, what has first place in your life? You know, I like to talk about the treasure principle when I talk about body image things. The treasure principle comes from the book of Matthew, where Jesus says, where your money is, your heart will be also. And I think this applies to all the different idols that we can create in our lives, right? Whatever it is we treasure, like that's where our heart is. And so how do you tell what you're treasuring? I mean, quite simply, it can be just looking at your bank account, looking at how you spend your money, or maybe even thinking about how you spend your time, looking at your calendar. But also I want to include like the time you spend just in your head. What are you thinking about when you don't have anything to think about? Are you thinking about changing your body, changing your marriage, changing your kids, changing your house? What do you treasure? You know, there's this quote, I think it's by Sir Thomas Chalmers, and it goes like this: what you think about in your solitude is your religion. I'm going to say it one more time. What you think about in your solitude is your religion. And for me, if I was honest, what I thought about my solitude a lot was how to change my body, how to make my body different, how to look better. That was the salvation I thought I needed. That was my religion. And so, friend, if you're spending all your time and your treasure focused on things that are not Jesus, right? It's time to reorder things. It's time to align. Let's look at John 15:10 and 11. There's some more clues in this passage about maybe what Jesus meant to align. It reads like this: if you keep my commandments, which one? All of them, friend. Not the ones you just choose to keep, all of them. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I've kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. Joy comes from living how God asks us to live. And that means no idols. It also means loving him, loving others, and a host of other commandments. It's not a long list, friends. In fact, I think most of us have longer lists of expectations we have for ourselves, for our own joy and happiness, than Jesus ever created for us. But we must keep his commandments. That should be our first priority. We must do and live as he asks us to do and live. And then we align with him, and then we find joy. A second way to find joy is abide. We abide with the giver. Psalm 16:11 says, in your presence there is fullness of joy. Joy comes not from getting the thing, doing the thing, arriving at the thing. Joy comes from closeness to God. Instead of focusing on where you're going, focus on who is with you. That's the good news. Going to something hard, going into something great, who is with you? Abide with him. The final A is anchor. Anchor yourself to the giver. We rejoice in the hope of the glory of God. Romans 5:2 says, biblical joy is sustained by an eternal perspective. It's not the power of positivity. It's knowing that even if everything in this life kind of sucks now or for a long time, this is not my final hope. This isn't the end game. I have eternity with Jesus to look forward to. This life is just a blip. And so I don't have to Jedi mind trick myself into like finding joy or not thinking about the bad things. I can just lean into him and rest in his truth. He's got me. He's never going to leave me or forsake me. And even if things are hard, he's still there. Friend, we must believe that we cannot find true joy outside of Jesus. It's just not possible. Yeah, we can find some happiness. We can find some personal fulfillment, but those things are always subject to change. True joy is not. So we talked about spelling joy wrong. That real joy that real joy is not spelled Joy just over yonder. How is true joy spelled then? Well, there's a couple options here. Okay, I grew up singing a song in Sunday school that spelled joy, Jesus and others and you. What a wonderful way to spell joy. And that's a great way to spell joy, right? Matthew instructs us to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves, right? So that's a great way to spell joy, right? Another one, I think, is that you could spell joy, Jesus, over you. Like, what do I want? No, I'm not going to answer the question, what do I want? It's what does Jesus want? Like, that's a great way to spell joy. But I think the best way to spell joy is, ready for this? Jesus, oh, yeah. Okay, that might be a little corny. I get it. But here's the truth. He must increase so that I can decrease. John 3:30 says, right? If I make much of him, instead of much of his gifts, instead of much of my plans, instead of much of myself, that is the surefire way for me to find joy. Tim Keller puts it like this: if we truly believe in the Trinity, if we believe that God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, if we believe that they are who they say they are, if we believe that it's true, then here's the result. Here's his quote: your absolute highest purpose, your meaning, and the only way you'll ever be happy is if you are glorifying God above all other things. We live for God's glory. Joy and delight are the natural byproduct. I don't have to live to arrive. I don't have to live to get it all right. I don't have to just be positive. He is where the joy and delight are found. And that's good news because it takes the pressure off of me. It's all up to him. I just have to abide, align, and anchor. Friend, I hope this has encouraged you today. I hope if you've struggled to find joy like I have, that you'll focus on these 3 things today. Maybe you'll pause and think about what could be blocking your joy. In what ways have you been chasing or pursuing joy that's not coming from Jesus? Confess those to him. He'll be faithful and just to forgive you for those things. And then move forward. Move forward. Hey, thanks for listening today. I hope something today has helped you stop comparing and start living. If this show has blessed you, subscribe and like here on YouTube. You can also listen to our 500 podcast episodes here on YouTube or on the Compared to Who podcast. To learn more about our ministry, programs we have, books I've written, you can go to improvedbodyimage.com. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.